shirt and having a belly and being a big guy than that
Then
guy.
Benioff?
Yeah, everyone falls. Oh, he's a lovable
Sorry,
teddy
will you say
bear.
that one more time? Will you say that one more time?
What's that?
Like,
What you were just saying. Say that one more time, please.
Am I insulting someone?
No.
No, I think it's because he didn't get it on the.
This is not
record.
Chotner. I didn't get the beginning. We're starting now.
I was just saying. I think Mark Benioff has. I don't know if it's intentional or it's obviously somewhat intentional. Has duped a lot of people into thinking he's a lovable billionaire teddy bear because he wears Hawaiian shirts.
Right.
But most people
Right.
can't tell you what his company does. And even prior to I think Donald Trump's great, and we should bring the National Guard into San Francisco. Turn. There's a lot of evidence that his not such a cuddly guy.
No,
if you
you
rub
think-
him the wrong way.
Yeah,
Not
no.
one of the lovable billionaires.
I mean, I think, well, also just on a business standpoint, if you have Brett Taylor as like your co-CEO, your goal is to never not have Brett Taylor as your co-CEO. Like that is the strongest possible executive you could have in a senior leadership position at your company. And
Really?
yes, Brett Taylor's, as far as I'm concerned, is like the single best tech executive that's ever been minted of his generation.
Wow.
And
Wasn't he there for the Jack takeover?
he was the chairman of the board during. He was there. He wasn't there for the Jack takeover. He was brought in after Jack took over. He was there. He was
Okay.
He was somewhat blindsided by Jack agreeing with Elon to sell the
Okay.
company as text records revealed. He was like, "Yes, I understand you've been talking to Elon. Could we just talk about this as a board first?" But then he also managed like the situation in OpenAI. He's a real mensch, that guy. But anyway, Benioff, yeah, he also seems really interested on owning most of Hawaii, which is kind of a telltale sign of not chill.
That's what you do when you become a billionaire. You buy
Yeah,
a
buy
Hawaiian
Hawaii.
island. So whose island is
But he-
bigger?
but he
His
famously
or
had a
Larry's?
Oh,
big-
definitely his. I mean, because he's buying on the Big Island, which is the biggest island, hence its name, and Ellison is topped out at Lanai, which is
Right.
relatively small and has a lot of cats in that acreage. So in time, Benioff really could get it done.
Do you mean literal cats?
Yeah, there's a feral cat colony on Lanai that you can go visit.
So maybe that's the 5% that he doesn't own.
There's like 5% he doesn't own. Yeah, I don't know.
Can you
where the
visit?
cats-
Can you go there or not?
Yeah, you can visit the cats.
Okay. Okay, good. I thought Benioff did have some progressive policies. He was very pro-development and pro...
Just turns out those weren't very closely held.
Yeah, exactly.
Beliefs.
Yeah.
He's just weather vaning his way through whatever comes. So,
God,
Yeah.
you guys are cynical.
well, I
What?
mean, it was just like we're looking at the evidence in front of our eyes. Like,
Where
listen,
is the lie?
listen, like if you everyone's trying to figure out how to navigate this moment. I think most of our tech class is doing a very poor job. That
Yeah.
being said,
Or
there's a
good job. But
Yeah,
yes.
there's a difference between, look, I'm just going to kiss his ass to get what I need on tariffs and like for my industry. There's a difference
Right.
between that and I think the National Guard should come to San Francisco. That has nothing to do with your business. That is
Right.
just, expressing like what you think will be a favorable opinion to,
Or even worse, you literally think bringing the National Guard to San
Will
Francisco
help.
would
Yeah.
improve San
Yeah, yeah,
Francisco.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, he was like, we should get back to the days of a cop on every corner. It's like, dude, this isn't 1953 here. We're not trying to get back to that.
Or, by the way, have cops.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like fine, like have cops, like, and also, I mean, like crime. It's not that the facts matter, but like San Francisco is actually doing a really good job in the last like 24 months, like dealing with its crimes issues, both like not just violent crime, but even like the quality of life crime that people care about. So anyway, fuck him. That was a terrible idea. You shouldn't say that. And he did have to walk it back. And also shout
He
out to
did,
Ron
immediately.
Conway. Shout out to
Yeah.
Ron Conway, who like,
Hell
was
yeah.
like, I'm resigning for, I mean, that is actually difficult to do. Because it's a business. If you're like Ron, you're a connector, you're in the
Right.
mix with everyone. Your goal is like to kind of like, be on good terms with most people in the business because you never know what is going to come up later. And it was just that was just like a purely principled, like, no, I don't believe in this.
It was interesting, too, because I've seen an angry Ron Conway letter
Yeah.
before. It doesn't look anything like the one that was sent on his behalf. So
Yeah.
clearly he involved multiple people and editors and thought it
Yeah,
through.
yeah,
It wasn't. He didn't just jam it out on a
No, it wasn't like in various fonts with some caps
Yeah. Yes.
mixed in.
But these acts of resistance really matter. And Peter, I think you reported yesterday the number of cancellations for Disney Plus or Hulu or whatever were double in the Jimmy Fallon fallout. So like ordinary people can still make a difference.
I don't know. It's the truth. I think
ordinary people can no longer make a distance.
I'm not the right guy for that. I mean, I think ordinary people marching and 7 million people with no kings, that's maybe meaningful. I mean, the Disney narrative that I've heard was that Bob Iger got a ton of crap from a ton of connected people in Hollywood saying me and or my clients or my slate will not work with you.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to put up with that. I heard there was an Obama call. I can't verify that. I think he got just a ton of grief from that community, and that more than numbers would have made him turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I do think he got a tremendous amount of pressure. I think, as we talked about before, I think Jimmy Fallon was the wrong person to mess with because
Kimmel.
he is Jimmy Kimmel. Sorry, Jimmy Kimmel is the wrong person.
Mess away with Fallon.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, I just posted this thing in politics. Fallon, there's a trend going on where it's the Four Non Blondes mashup.
What's going on?
Yeah.
And it's, someone turns around and there's a person behind him. It's Jimmy Fallon at the beginning of the song, and it's Malala behind him. I was just like, come on, man. What are we doing? Like, why are you determined to prove the internet was just a mistake?
There's a clip of Tim from what's his name? Tim Heidecker has his own show, and I don't watch the show, but I see clips of it. And there's a clip of him just deadpan savaging Fallon for his whatever his like newest. He's got some sort of like Shark Tank like show with Boz.
Super Bowl halftime bullshit thing. Yeah.
Well, no, I think it's like some kind of pitch.
It's a brand thing.
Okay,
with Boz from Meta?
No. Boz, the lady who has worked at every tech company and is now, I guess, on Real Housewives. I may be conflating the two. Anyway, he's just savaging. Like Jimmy Fallon, the whole point is like, why are you doing this, Jimmy Fallon? You do not need to.
Boz from Meta on some kind of show would possibly bankrupt Facebook within 24 hours because that dude is unfiltered, and it would be amazing content until Zuckerberg sent the jujitsu like assassins to pull him out of the studio. So some hope that ideas spring forth. What else you got? What else you got for us to discuss? I
guess the question is, do you want to talk about recent crashes and future crashes? Do we want to talk about that now?
The AI bubble?
Or do you want to weave it into the aptly timed show?
That's a seat zero.
I would say, well, why don't we talk about it a little bit? So I was trying to remember. I was at we were at Chloe Slatton's birthday this weekend.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Marcel, the co-founder of Particle. Jason, we're invested in that. And he was talking about the day they were trying to get funded from my wife's venture capital company, Adverb.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the day that I was in South by Southwest. It was a Thursday, and it was the day Silicon Valley Bank was melting down. And they couldn't get the funds into Adverb to then do it over there. And meanwhile, Marcel was having a baby.
Right.
So I was trying to remember. I was like, remember when SVB failed and then FRB a week later? And I was trying to remember. That's the closest we've come, right? Basically since 2008.
So it looked like a bunch of those small banks would look like a bunch of there'd be a run on small banks
until David Sachs bravely climbed atop his Twitter and demanded that something be done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
governments intervene on his behalf.
After causing a stampede on the all-in pod of like, get your money out. We're telling all of our companies to get their money out.
It was a dark time. I was getting
luckily we never heard from him again.
I was at a tailor getting a suit fitted, and the tailor had all his money in SVB and was having like a real I might not have any money anymore situation. It was a real like this is gonna hurt normal people like like me.
I was
It
working
bad.
at Vox.com when we realized that they'd sent like 24 people from Vox to Austin for that weekend, and Vox was a Silicon Valley Bank customer.
Yes!
And that meant that all those people no longer had credit cards or any way to pay for their rooms.
Oh my God.
But also like illustrative of like, why is Vox a Silicon Valley Bank customer? And that was because all startups had
all startups
Bank,
because they had the good relationships.
and I was sure that was going to turn into a bigger story, that there was going to be weird back scratching that we weren't aware of, and it turned out
Were they
There
doing
was
like
a-
super low loans?
They were
and
doing
stuff?
loans
Yeah.
for founders. They were doing loans for
Yeah.
founders.
I just thought
But
there was
that's
going to
like-
be more. to
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
And
I don't
that
think that's
people-
that weird. I mean, like, banking is a relationship business, and so like, they do give you deals if they know you. I think the thing that was weird about that particular bank run, it was somewhat similar to the stuff in margin call in micro, because it was just basically bad math. Like, it was like they didn't really understand what was on the balance sheet, and so, and like they knew that interest rates were going up, but they didn't like sort of account for the fact that prices were falling on their bonds. And then they one moment, and then it, like, it's similar margin call, kind of reached a threshold where it's like, oh, we're gonna have to raise some more money, and everyone called bullshit. I think in general that was like a banking crisis. The stuff that we go through in the Valley when it's like there's a correction is more traditional. An asset class has a correction, like, it is like it is less like a collapse of the global financial system, and more it's like no, like, we're calling bullshit on the values that use subscribe
You
to,
can
like,
no
all these
longer
companies.
say it's Uber for X.
Yes,
and raise
exactly.
money. We're
and
done with that.
And that's just like, it's inevitable that will happen in any boom. The question is like, what is the fallout of that outside of tech stocks? In the original crash, like, that extended to, like, the American economy writ large, because it was seen as, it was such an underlier of the economy at that time.
And there were so many people playing the
Right.
market. And this, I wrote about this the other day. I
rise
didn't
of day
quite
trading,
get it
right?
across. There was a huge boom in day trading. And it literally was, you'd get in a cab in New York, and your cab driver would tell you that he was only going to be driving for 6 more months because he had $10,000 in the market. So by the end of this year, he'd have enough to fund his indie film. Like, it literally had those conversations, and lots of people were playing. And so when the .com crashed, lots of people felt it. And in 2008, 2010 felt the same way. People didn't really think they were speculating, but they obviously were on housing, and so that had real impact.
Right.
And if AI goes tits up, that's where it's harder to see. Like, it's very hard to play AI as an individual. You can buy NVIDIA stock, and you're automatically in it because all the tech stocks that you own are in the index funds, blah, blah, blah. But for a normal person, it doesn't feel the bubble the way that you guys feel it in your city.
It's not speculative in the same way. However, the entire U.S. economy is now propped up by data center.
Right. So it's
CapEx.
but you can't feel that if you're
You
not
can't
a
feel
normal-
that, but if it's like the collapse of the market would look like, all of a sudden these bets that have been made in terms of building out data center for training runs, like, no longer seem to make sense, because we don't need that much. We can't afford it that much, from an electricity standpoint. Like, this version of AI LLMs have topped out at some sort of capacity. There's a cheaper way to do it that doesn't require a third of the U.S. domestic energy output. AI itself will continue to be a dominant force in the economy, like, that will continue to weave its way into our productivity. But like, the particular way in which the financing is working, there might be a moment of calling bullshit on it. There's also, going back to the crash analogy, there's a lot that's going on right now that kind of reminds people of the circular financing that
Round
happened.
trip,
That's what I was going to
vendor
say. Right?
financing.
The vendor
AMD
financing.
and NVIDIA
Yeah.
and those
Like,
guys investing.
Matt Levine is obviously sort of the canonical source to turn to for all of this. If you want to read a funny version of it, but it's like, he had a good synopsis about a week ago of the deal that OpenAI had with AMD. And it was like, okay, like, it's like, we want to buy like $78 billion in chips. And AMD says, okay, that'll be $78 billion. And nobody says, like, well, what if it's not? AMD says, what do you mean? We just, you obviously have to pay for it. It's like, well, what if we just say, like, we announce the deal and then your stock will go up by $78 billion and that's how we'll pay for it. And that's like, and that's happening just across sectors. And so now, there's news out today about how NVIDIA is going to be guaranteeing OpenAI loans. And like, there is a bit of, it's similar again to the theme of the movie that we will be discussing. It is not just people think like, tulips are worth $5, but actually they're worth $2. It is that there is a system of leverage that enables betting on the $5 tulip that is many, many multiples of the $5 tulip. And that's where the exposure becomes real money and can leak.
We bundled all those tulips.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's interesting. I think that's my true position on the AI. Like, the other interesting thing I think from the AI bubble thing that happened this last week and a half, is that a big reason that everyone is feeling kind of like what's going on is because Andrea Karpathy gave an interview, a 2-hour interview on the Dwarkish podcast, in which he was just like poured cold water a bit on this current generation of technologies. Like, I think AGI is at least a decade away. I think, agents are, good at code, but like maybe aren't cross applicable to other things. Will look like, kind of automation in other areas. Like reinforcement learning is kind of bullshit. And like, this guy has kind of impeccable standing in the community because of his stat. He's an OpenAI co-founder. He was, head of AI at Tesla. And the way he talks just sort of particularly, I think, scratches the brain of the AI autist in San Francisco. But as a result of this interview, like people have been going through it on Twitter. Like, people are really like kind of having an existential moment of like, what does the Andre Karpathy interview mean for me and my business and my life and everything I thought? It's like a really interesting example of like how status can like fuck with people in a pretty demonstrative way. I also happen to think that his arguments sound pretty good to me. So like, I'm inclined to listen to him as well, but it's an interesting moment. It's an interesting week in AI in San Francisco or in the world.
There's it does get wrapped around the axle. There's so much good and important work for AI to accomplish that is not AGI. Like, there's so much improvement that it can do. Yeah. And so like,
this is the thing I keep playing in my head. Like, if it just stopped today and never got any better and was only a tool like that was useful to people like me,
right,
or a lot of other people, but like, it helps me figure out what kind of gadgets to buy because it's much better at sorting through the Google than Google is. Right. Like, that's a normal. Could it displace Google? Right. Of course it could. That's a $2 trillion business, and maybe it's bigger and blah, blah, blah. That's a big fucking deal. And then the question is, all right, so you just have to like say that the other stuff you thought was coming isn't coming, and then right size the industry to that.
It's also, oh, sorry, did I cut you off?
No, which we had again with the web. Like, a lot of the stuff we talked about in 1997 and 1999 was true and turned out to be true on a much longer timeline. Just putting a web browser on everyone's computer was in itself a big fucking deal. And a lot of the other stuff just didn't materialize for 10, 15, 20 years.
My point on this, I think the 1997 comparison is worth looking at because, again, like the dot crash happened not because people didn't want to buy pet food online, but because there wasn't enough people online to buy pet food at the valuations that were being assigned to the pet food business. Like, people, in fact, do want to buy pet food online. It's a huge part of
Mark Andreessen just did a victory tweet about this. Everyone's slamming pets.com, but look how much food we're selling.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That was also a money-losing business.
The issue is no one said, even in 1997, I've bought $7 trillion of pet food and now I'm going to sell it. Like, the number is the absolute number that we're talking about is significantly grander than what was being talked about in 1997, even on an inflation adjusted standpoint. And the ambition in terms of like, we're going to need 30% of energy, domestic energy production going to data center training runs is both unbelievable that would actually happen from a political or policy standpoint. It's unpopular. People don't want data centers built in their communities.
That's why they're being built in the South.
Yeah, they're worried about what it's going to do to their energy costs. The water thing is but the water thing's a good example where it's like the absolute amount of water is actually not that great, like compared to other things, but it's the kind of thing that people will get wrapped around the axle of, like in terms of like it is like contrails, like the data centers are emitting, radiation that turns you trans or whatever. Like that stuff will happen. Like people will have those kind of concerns as well. And the only reason why all of that has happened, to go back to Peter's point, is that the American frontier companies are so focused on just ever greater capability that like we're not happy with what we can do with the models that we have today.
Right, you have to say this will create new drugs at a fraction of the price. This will solve never been solved math problems. It will open up whole new discoveries. That's how you justify the $7 trillion, wherever the number is.
Well, I think
if it's just it's a good tool for the three of us to navigate our day, it's a big fucking deal.
It's a big fucking deal. Why can't that be enough? Yeah.
But it's also, it is, to your point, Peter, the reason it took an extra 10 years is because a little thing called the iPhone was invented in 2007, and it was moving from just having
It was a lot of things. It was broadband coming out, people getting comfortable spending money. I mean, a lot of normal people did not want to buy something online in 97. Yes.
Of course, but there was a huge shift that was enabled by going to having supercomputers in your pockets.
Yep.
And I think from the AI perspective, I do believe that the next phase of the glasses and more smart devices that we have on us, I think will be that. And part of it, like Sam is 7. He's had an Alexa in his room since he was born, and he is extremely comfortable talking to that. I pre-ordered the new Alexa today. Because for $219, I can finally replace the Alexa show I got when I worked at Amazon in 2017. And I can see what this Alexa Plus nonsense is about. Like, I'm kind of curious to see what it will be like to use an LLM with a speaker in my house. That's a big difference.
This point about adoption, I think you're crazy to put a surveillance device in your child's room, and I think a lot of parents would agree. And the point is that, not that I think you're a bad father necessarily, but more that like the adoption curve is going to be long. And the issue is with the bets that are being placed now, they're so sizable, the financing is so levered, if not in a technical financial sense, then in a interconnected sense, is that they've created a situation where it's not that you're like long on AI and you're buying into like these companies because you think that the AI bet will pay off in time as consumers adopt these technologies. It's that it has to return a unbelievable society transformational event in a very short time frame. And I just think that is a foolish way to kind of conduct societal level business.
Well, that's not going to work, right? We could be clear on that. Like, it's not going to happen. We're not going to.
Yeah, but that's where you end up with the downside scenarios. Is that like because you don't the bets don't pay out fast enough. Maybe it's working, but it's not working fast enough, and then there has to be some massive correction, and then you're in the world of stochastic outcomes where we don't really know who's going to be harmed by that fallout.
But buckle up, like this is what's coming, right?
But luckily, you look around the world, and the people with their hands on the rudder,
really solid,
competent. Smart, best of breed, smartest guys in the room. So I think that we're going to science our way out of it.
That was, like we were talking about in Discord.
Oh yeah, Sachs is in charge of AI, right, for the government.
Yeah, we were talking about the difference between like the global financial crisis and a potential like AI correction. I was like, well, in general, the AI correction should be less severe because it won't be like the end of banking. But the issue is that like in the global financial crisis, we had like good governance. Like we could pass a bill and we could do bank buyouts on a basis of like just a technocratic reality of what do we need to make sure that the whole thing doesn't fall down. And there was lots of problems with that. No one went to jail, blah blah blah. But like we're all still here. And it's unclear what would happen in even a financial crisis of a similar scale with the current curve.
Gonna find out. How else? So how does Griffin doesn't want to wake up in the morning and say, Alexa, play Defunk by Daft Punk? Like, how does that?
No, we don't do that.
Don't do music that way?
We don't do music that way. Yeah. Music.
I gave my kids Alexa early on because they grew up touching screens, right? Because they grew up with iPhone. And then they went right to voice. I'm like, oh, this is obviously the future. And then they have like every machine they encountered, they would try to do voice. And then they totally stopped.
Right.
They've shown no interest in voice interaction. And they're not Luddites. They use iPhones. They just are never talking to it.
Yeah, Griffin has an iPad, and we have Spotify for Kids on it, and he asks for songs on that. So it's not as though we don't do that. It's just like I like to be able to know he's like using an iPad versus like at least at this age, versus like there's a device or there's like there's an internet connected device.
This is a Sonos speaker, so this is like it's not like he has a screen and he can browse and do whatever.
I know, but it's just like if there's
I take your point.
If he is consuming media, I want it to be like something I am aware of. And he consumes a lot of media. It's not like we're really super strict on screen time, but I just want to know about it. I want to see it happening.
Who's the bad dad now, Jason?
I don't know, man. We'll find out. We'll do a taste test. Griffin asked.
We're going to do a longitudinal study. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. Griffin asked yesterday or 2 days ago. He's like, you know who we haven't seen in a while? We haven't seen Sam.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
Sam's free, by the way, if you want to get together. Like, Sam and I are free. Hey, welcome back to the podcast, Peter Kafka.
Happy to be here. How did you describe me, Jason, as a good podcast guest because I had a microphone and showed up on time?
Yes, that's what I like. I was immediate. I was like, what are we doing? Oh, we're doing Margin Call with Kafka. This is a walk. Like, this is like just, he's going to be here. He knows what he needs to do. Although I will point out, I have not started my backup recording at this point. So
like, I also did not start my backup recording. So don't worry about
it. Now we're going to get fucked for hubris.
Oh yeah. And Riverside's been totally fucked with AWS, right? I'm working right now. So
how did the AWS outage affect your life, Peter Kafka?
I tried to order my chopped salad, COHPT is the chain I like. Would not accept online orders. I'm like, fuck. I'm going to take the elevator downstairs. I'm going to walk
outside.
Place. And I did, and there were suspiciously few people in the chop. It's normally packed.
Right.
I'm like, and the kiosks were also down.
Right.
And there was a sign saying, well, because of a third party something, we can't honor gift certificate. I'm like, well, I don't need a gift certificate. I just want to give you $16 for a salad. And I said, I literally went to a guy. I said, how would I order a salad? He goes, you could look at me and I could write the order down and then you could pay me cash. I was like, nope, too much. I'm out of here. So
you starved.
Saladless, yeah.
The app that is used for drop off at my kid's school was down, and it was like, I mean, it really fucked things. Yeah, it was chaos. And the funny thing though is because it's San Francisco, like everyone knew why the app was down, and like half of the parents were either affected by or working on the outage in line as they were like, they're like, yeah, it's fucking AWS. Like, everyone was mad. It was pretty good. My favorite part of the AWS outage is that it turned off the 8 Sleep cold mattresses, the mattresses that cool, which are very popular with our cohort.
We have them.
They need continuous internet connectivity. And like someone found out like after in the wake of this, the outage would happen. The mattresses started getting hot because they could not talk to the internet. And someone found out that the mattresses are like sending like 16 gigabytes of data a month to like the cloud. Who knows what your mattress is saying, but it's saying something. And
it can tell you when you're there or not. So I think some people have used it already to detect cheating spouses and stuff.
The CEO of Vercel, very hot startup here in San Francisco, said like he knew there was an AWS outage at 2 a.m. because he woke up because his mattress was hot, and that was like his pager system before like he got like the alerts that all of his company was fucked.
What we're saying is we deserve what we're gonna get.
Yeah. No, we're gonna get it right in the mouth.
We're complicit.
Right,
this is gonna be a theme today.
Yeah.
We're all complicit. So, Peter, we're stoked to have you here. And Jason, after 5.5 years, you finally get your wish.
Wow.
And we tackle the 2011 Finance Meltdown Classic, which I had never seen before, Margin Call.
Wow. I can't believe we're doing it. Now I'm really convinced that Riverside is going to fuck us. There's going to be AWS outage, the aftershock during this podcast, because I was convinced this day would never come. So
it's here. We'll see what happens. Meanwhile, next week on Escape Hatch, Jason, it's our latest super team up with the return of both co-hosts of the Stuff Dreams Are Made Of. Ryan Condal and Dave Mandel. I don't think they've been here since Raiders? What did we do?
I don't know, but it is another professional podcasting duo. So I like this run that we're on.
Oh yeah. We got it going on.
Yeah.
And after we did last month with Ben, we did Casablanca.
You were feeling it. You wanted more bogey.
Yeah.
And San Francisco.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Maltese
I've
Falcon.
never seen this movie. Is it good?
It's
We're
really
doing
good.
the Maltese Falcon.
Yeah, the Maltese Falcon is great.
Never seen it.
You know, it's a noir. It's a classic noir. It's the most classic noir, some might say.
Yeah. So we're going to get all into that next week. But meanwhile, how about some quick Hatch news?
Hatch news from beyond.
The only thing I have here is Night of the Seven Kingdoms. And
I saw the trailer.
Yeah. What do you think?
I'll watch that shit. I'll watch some Westeros shit.
Game of Thrones? You like this business?
I did not enjoy the spinoffs. The spin-off. So this is being pitched as a different scale thing. So
it is. It's 6 episodes, and they're only 30-minute episodes, which I think is wild.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't care about the lore is the thing. I just don't care about House Targaryen or any of that. So
this is not your show. Don't watch.
Yeah. So okay.
Don't watch it. Okay.
You're just in it for the sexual assault? Like, what is the...
No, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed the story they were telling me, but I was not curious about what was happening before or after the story.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of like the whole thing, and especially on this one.
This one is like a key lore. This is like a key. This is sort of like young.
But that's why I liked Andor so much, because
you didn't need to know any lore. It's true.
Oh my God!
True.
I think
you
Thursday
guys remember
night,
when there was Andor?
I'm right in the middle of season 1, and as soon as
are you just watching it over? I feel like every week you're like at a different part of your rewatch.
No, I got through. 7 after the heist for the eye. 7 is really kind of like this weird limbo episode. Yeah, and so we only got through 2 episodes.
Introduction of Niamos,
week.
though, very important.
It's true, but now we're gonna do through One Way Out. It'll be the 2 episodes on Thursday, and then we just had the finale, and we'll be done with season 1. So it's been real good.
Oh, other Hatch news.
Yes,
I saw Tron Ares in
what?
Oregon. Yep, I saw Tron.
Did?
Yeah, I saw Tron Ares with the whole family.
The whole family.
Yep.
What did everybody think?
They liked it. Everyone had a good time. We saw it, and I think this was appropriate for Tron Ares. We saw it in Screen X. Are you familiar with Screen X presentation?
Oh, that's not like the big goes over the top.
It wraps around. There's screens on the side, and I don't actually know technically how they extend the image because it's not like
it's not like theater.
It's not like like the little lights where it's just colors like based on what's on the frame. It's actually like more scene. Like there's actually other stuff going on. I don't know how that works, but it seems appropriate.
You guys a Tron question?
Sure.
For this show, because I think about it a lot.
Please.
You guys talk about Tron a lot, and then
of course
this comes out, and everyone's like, "Wow, it's a terrible movie that no one wanted and no one went to see."
Yeah.
Three times in a row.
Three times in a row.
So you guys unironically love Tron.
Well, the original we're talking about.
The original.
I do.
Yeah.
And so when you're like excited about Tron Ares, it's
bad.
Is it a bit?
No. I think so. I think for Tron in particular, at least me, the original Tron is a movie I loved as a kid and was like very meaningful to me. It's not a great movie. I think it's just like objectively kind of dull. Like it moves pretty poorly. There's a lot of special effects problems. Griffin looks at it as like, this is trash. And his least favorite part of Tron Ares is when they go, which is my favorite part, is when they go into the Tron 1982 grid.
82.
And like, he was just like, these graphics are terrible, Dad. I was like, well, stick with it. This is for me. This is for the dad.
Dude, I was levitating when they went into the 1980s.
It was great.
World.
All the little nods to the 1982 and Tron Ares were great. Like there's like someone's cell phone has a ringtone that's like one of like the little like
do.
Yeah, I was like, I need that as my ringtone. That's amazing.
Immediately.
And so I love those little touches. Tron, the second one, Tron Legacy, is not a great movie, but a very fun movie with like a truly amazing soundtrack.
I'm just trying to figure out if I'm missing some cultural, because I was the right age to enjoy Tron and played the video game in the arcade and really liked it and all of that and never thought about it afterwards. Sure. And I'm wondering, is this something that like there's a generation or cohort that is super into this in a way that just misses me the way?
Well, did you like Legacy? You didn't see or you didn't?
No, it never occurred to me to watch another Tron movie.
I mean, I think like partly with Legacy, it's because like Daft Punk did the soundtrack, and so it's like if you liked electronic music, and it was like kind of like Yeah. So it's like if you're like kind of of a certain generation, you like electronic music and you like Tron. It's the Venn diagram.
Okay.
But also, Tron Legacy is Joseph Kosinski's first movie. The director of Maverick and F1.
It's fun.
And the thing that the hard part is it.
Let's be clear.
I rated it 5 stars, even though it's not a perfect movie. But I will say this: if you take out the deep fake, Jeff as a de-aged Jeff, and you tighten up a little bit of the exposition, it's absolutely a 5-banger. Like the story is really a good idea.
And Tron Ares is like a 2.5-star movie. I mean, like it's not great, but like the effects are very fun. Like the light cycles in reality, the recognizer in reality, like all the Tron stuff in reality, and it's 9 Inch Nails. Like it's very dad coded. So it's kind of just, we got one. It's one for us. It's,
all right. Just curious.
Finally,
it's not great. But
finally,
it was
something
fun.
for middle-aged white guys.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
It's pretty fun. Jared Leto sucks, and not just because of his extracurricular stuff. He's just bad. But it's pretty fun.
One last related thing: Sam really wanted to buy from the Minecraft marketplace the Tron Ares add-on.
Oh, is there one?
Disney has released.
Oh, I'll be paying for that this weekend.
You can fly recognizers.
Oh, wow.
You can drive light cycles.
Oh, wow.
So you can travel fast, which Sam was very interested in. And then there's mini games. April put down the kibosh and said, "We are not buying any digital trading stuff."
Okay.
She doesn't want to crack that veil.
We buy a Minecraft mod every week. That is Griffin's
really?
allowance. He gets one mod every week.
Okay.
And that's what he gets instead of, I don't know, food, I guess.
Our plan is to revisit it next year, so we'll see. I'll keep you posted.
I'm going to go download the Tron one for him immediately.
I'm doing great. I'm coming out great so far.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, are you guys ready to get into this movie?
Let's go.
Okay, here we go. Margin call is the risks we are willing to take to get the things we think we want. Peter Sullivan is a brilliant analyst working at a leading investment firm who is the first person in the world to realize that the next major financial collapse is already underway. In one frantic night, his discovery will make it all the way to Chairman John Tull, who will dictate that the company dump all of their toxic assets, ensuring the meltdown of the U.S. economy and the careers of their own traders betraying their trading partners, but saving the company, its executive team, and their extravagant bonuses. Left standing amongst the wreckage, they will all find themselves wondering how their worlds could crumble in an instant when they find themselves on the wrong side of history's latest margin call.
Well done. Well done.
Very good.
Thank you. Jason, what was your history with margin call?
Didn't see it when it came out, certainly. I think it didn't get seen when it came out, basically. We'll get to that in the box office, but I did not see it when it came out. Wasn't tracking it when it came out. At some point it was on HBO. It was just like it's made its way to me, and I was like, this fucking rips. And particularly like the middle of the movie, which we'll talk about, the Jeremy Irons scene. And I was like, this is fucking great.
Every Jeremy Irons scene.
and as time went on, it just became part of like the cultural, it became very memeable. And there was lots of very TikTok-y, lots of references to it. I feel its legend grew. And I think, just like sort of completely stereotypically, it became like a comfort watch for me. Like it's a movie that like I watch all the time. It's like this movie, Rounders, the Firstborn movie. Like these are movies where it's like, if I'm playing like just a little insight into my life, come with me, if you will.
This is a very Jason coded movie.
Yes.
By
yes.
the way. A rocket scientist who ends up doing something else.
Yeah.
Room fighting.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
What the fuck were we doing here? It's very Goldman.
It activates so many of my flavor centers. And yeah, like I'll be late at night. Kids are asleep. Wife's asleep. I'm running some Mythic Plus Dungeons in Warcraft. I've got my iPhone propped up on the side, and it's playing Margin Call. Like, it's just like, Margin Call is like background noise, just a little comfort, second screen experience. I just love it. I absolutely love it. It is, I will say, just to the Goldman codedness of it, like, yes, there's a rocket scientist who drops out and works in finance, which I did work in finance briefly, not in high finance and not in an investment bank, but I was briefly in finance. And
where was that?
That was at Barra, which is now part of MSCI, Morgan Stanley. Blah,
Jason
blah, blah.
made change. If you gave him $1 bill, he'd give you 4 quarters
Exactly.
or 10 dimes.
Exactly. You want 10? You want 10 dimes? We can do that. And I've always been interested in finance because when I was in college in the 90s, at Princeton University, the paths that people took out of that were to go work in finance or to go into management consulting. This is before the internet boom, so no one went to go do that.
Right.
But those were the two things that people went to go do. Management consulting seemed like the dumbest fucking shit I'd ever heard of in my life. It was like, I went to a recruitment thing for McKinsey, and it was like, we worked with this client. We charged them $18 trillion. And our strategy was sell things in places where you're not currently selling things and sell more of the things that you're selling in the places where you're already selling things. Like, that's not even an exaggeration of what they presented in this. I was like, y'all are clowns. Like, this is ridiculous. You can't tell me you need this much intelligence to do this. Anyway. And then finance, my roommate in college worked on the the credit swap desk during the financial crisis. Like, my roommate in college is like, it's like my generation of overeducated Ivy League people like caused the financial crisis. So I feel a particular connection with this movie for those reasons.
And Peter, how about you?
Not deeply as connected, but yeah, it came out when my kids were young, so I was not seeing any movies for those couple years. And I might have seen it on home video rental. It might have been one of those where you could see it, the same time it was in theaters or recently. And definitely have seen it a few times since then. And then it has definitely come to me via TikTok the last 3 years. Like a lot of the stuff on this show, which is also just TikTok knowing me. Like, you'll see stories saying it's a huge hit on TikTok. I'm like, I don't know, the fact that TikTok is serving you something means it's a huge hit, but I love it for a bunch of reasons we can discuss. And I have, even though I write about business, I've got no connection to finance and Wall Street. But I've been through a lot of layoffs, so that part.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. That's definitely gonna be a good one to talk about. And I had never seen this movie. Obviously, I was resisting just to ruin Jason's day for as long as possible. So I was thrilled to actually finally get a chance to check it out, and I really liked it. Let's see. I'm just checking one thing.
Behind the scenes?
Why are we getting? I'm just trying to figure out why we keep getting like sounds of screen doors and stuff, and I'm wondering.
Well, you probably heard my front door being opened.
Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, I was making sure I didn't have another window open.
But don't worry, I've shushed my child, so he won't be disturbing us.
Okay.
Bring the child on the pod.
Yeah. All right, let's do some quick behind the scenes. So this is the first feature film from writer-director J.C. Chandor. So did All Is Lost, which was the Robert Redford on a boat movie. More recently did Kraven the Hunter, and apparently is working on The Conversation, the TV show. So we'll see.
Most Violent Year was the movie he did after this. Highly, highly recommend.
Interesting.
Really good.
What is that about, Peter?
That is, it's Oscar Isaac and Jessica Chastain.
Oh,
it's a mob movie set in 80s, Outer Borough, New York, all about heating oil and the mob, and buying a piece of real estate on what is now the Williamsburg waterfront. Albert Brooks is in it. It's really, really good. And then he also did Triple Frontier, which was Netflix's, I think, first big action movie.
That's the one with pushing the donkey off the cliff, right?
And also Oscar Isaac and a million other people, and it is not great, but has great ultraviolence in it.
I like that I still have the donkey cliff clip available for easy inclusion here. Yeah, I would like to check that out. The Oscar Isaac, was that the one that had like the sensational press tour with Oscar and Jessica Chastain, where they were like all over each other, and then the other one, and
yeah.
If it was, I think the press tour got much more.
They were
press
really
than
horny.
the movie did.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's seen that movie besides me, but I love it.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up.
Okay. So Chandor told ProPublica that the film's genesis began in 2005 when he and some friends dabbled in New York real estate investing, and they got a large loan like comically easily and realized how risky things were. And he did not have any intention to make this film about any specific real Wall Street firm, but there were definitely a lot of similarities to the 2008 crisis. Goldman Sachs similarly moved very early to hedge and reduce their position in mortgage-backed securities at the urging of 2 employees. Lehman Brothers moved second and went bankrupt. So it was definitely some reality there. It's interesting. Zach Quinto produced this.
Yeah,
his
it was his first
Productions.
company. It was his first production, I think.
He's kind of a cool guy, right? Like, do you guys remember Heroes?
Yeah, you guys remember Heroes?
Mm-hmm.
It was great.
That was like a sensation.
That was a real sensation. One of the
was a fun
last
show.
big. Here's a new TV show not based on IP, but it has cool characters, and you're gonna.
They should have just done like less of it. That was the only problem. They didn't. They did too much of it. They needed to do
went
less.
too far.
They needed 12 episodes. That's it.
Yeah. And then, so this shot in 17 days on the 42nd floor of One Penn Plaza. Any history there, Peter?
I took the GREs at One Penn Plaza.
It's one of New York's least lovely neighborhoods. Penn Station there.
It's
Oh,
horrible.
really?
Yeah. It has there's nothing there except for commuting and the Knicks, I guess, and then it's one of the places where New York's homeless, drug addicted population congregates. I mean, if you're in San Francisco, it won't look that weird to you. If you're a
Very
normal
familiar,
person, you're
yeah.
like, what the fuck is going on?
No, but I mean, like even to anyone, like Penn Station to Port Authority is pretty aggressively.
Yeah, it's leaked out into the neighborhoods around it, which is so you
I
don't
haven't
have
been
to
there in a
go
while.
to Penn Station. You can see people in distress.
Yeah, I took the GREs there. A fire alarm went off in the middle. I didn't do well on the GREs. I got into grad school anyway. I don't know.
Nice
what
job.
Can you do?
The offices where they shot had recently been vacated by a trading firm,
Right.
So kind of the ghosts were there everywhere, and I love the sets and the environment.
I agree. I've only once been to Goldman Sachs headquarters in Battery Park, and you would not mistake this location for the real Goldman Sachs headquarters.
So
in Battery Park.
apparently the last sequence where they're selling off the shit.
Yeah.
And it's all done in voiceover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually apparently the actual Citigroup trading floor.
Interesting.
City let them film.
Let them use.
There's
That's nice.
there's a good Semaphore piece about it. It came out this summer. On
Oh,
the
interesting.
backstory of this movie, well worth reading.
Cool.
So it's kind of wild that City allowed them to use it.
Totally weird.
Almost feels too good to check, but apparently that's why it seems so realistic. Is that is actual traders trading?
Yeah, that's good. I like it.
We haven't seen that kind of fidelity since the finale of Trading Places. Budget on this film, $3.5 million. Jason, worldwide, $19.5.
Oh, it made money. It made
That's
money.
not bad. Made money.
It's not really a lot of people who saw this movie in the theater.
Not a lot. Box
Yeah.
office of 2011, Paranormal Activity 3, Moneyball, Drive, Captain America: The First Avenger, and The Tree of Life.
Okay. I mean, we're already, the decline has come.
Is set in. All right, Jason, where do you want to start? You want to go straight to Bettany, or you?
I'm going to go straight to Bettany. I'm going to start with
Okay.
Bettany because I want it to have the space that I think it deserves. I think I've seen this movie a bunch. One of the things in watching it, I watched it like 4 times for the pod this week. Paul Bettany fucking crushes this movie. Like, this is a movie with Jeremy Irons, Kevin Spacey, Demi Moore, like some real fucking
The Tooch.
The Tooch, some heavy fucking weight actors, and doing we'll talk about the Jeremy Irons of it later, or I will
Yep.
anyway.
Yeah, we will.
But Bettany, really does some amazing stuff in here. First, I think he does a great job kind of thematically setting up that you care about Paul Bettany. You like Paul Bettany anyway. You like him. He's charming. You like him, even though he has a lot of obnoxious and terrible characteristics. Like he's very loathsome in a number of ways, but you like him. And part of the reason you like him is he's sort of guileless. He's not like being deceptive about who he is or what's going on or who the firm is or whatever. Like I guess you could test that.
He's a little, I'm going to show up into your office and say, hey, man, I'm sorry you got laid off, and then go into the next guy's office and go, aren't we glad we fired that guy? Let's move on.
Yeah. There's a little bit of like office bullshit. Like that's true.
Well, he's a killer. He is what he is.
Yeah, he's there. He's like, he hasn't moved ahead as fast as he would hope. He's ambitious. He wants to make money. And he knows that like the firm will do what it has to do in order to stay
and
afloat.
his place in it, right? He's in the middle. He's above the junior guys.
Yeah, he's not
a
yet.
senior guy, but he can sort of reach them if he needs to, or they are comfortable with him.
But I think
it's happened for everybody except for him. Like he is definitely pissed that he has not made it.
He hasn't made it. He also, in a movie with some really great writing, he has a tremendous lion's share of some of the best lines. A sampling.
So can we just get them all? Can we get them all? Like, let's start with the budget. Start with the budget.
I wrote that. Yeah, he goes through. He's like, "Did you really make 2.5 million last year?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "How'd you spend it?" He's like, "Well, the taxman takes half, so now you're left with $1.25 million." My favorite part of this breakdown is when he says, I sent 150 home to the parents just to keep them going. I love just to keep them going. I think it's beautiful. He goes through, he's like, spend like 150,000 on a car. The car we find out later is an Aston Martin DB8, I think, which is like fine. It's not. It's fine. It's not
75 620.
It's fine.
That's not That's not a drive to Midtown and park in the garage car. By the way,
no.
Which is what he apparently does with his car.
That is a little crazy. And then it's like, well, what you still got this left over. And then he says, yeah, well, I did spend $74,360 on hookers, dances, and blow, which is pretty tremendous. Which is pretty tremendous. So that whole thing is great. He's got this great line when I'll throw away is like, he's like, where does he live? The Heights. It's like, all right, go and get him. It's like, I hate Brooklyn. I love the I hate Brooklyn.
Really good.
He has this great scene with Cohen in the garage where he's like, we need to know that you could do the right thing if called upon. And he's like, just so you know, like Sam and I have always had the same interpretation of what's right. Like it's really steely. Like it's really like there's a lot of scenes in this movie which is about who's going to push the other person, and he is not going to get pushed.
So what is this? Because like it's interesting. Sam is, I guess we'll have to at least talk about this a little bit. So Sam is holding back from taking the action of dumping these assets.
They just don't know if they need Sam to be full-throated. You guys need to fucking go out there and sell this shit, even though it's going to wreck your career. Yeah. Like, just fucking get this done. And like really rah-rah cheerlead them to their doom. And they know that he has reservations about doing it. So they're just worried that if he doesn't get them to put the hammer down, that he won't do it. And so they're like, all right, if he doesn't do it, you need to step up and get these fuckers to sell this shit. That's what the scene is.
But it's almost like it's all so. But are we meant to take that at the end of the day, Will actually has some notion of doing quote unquote the right thing?
No.
Or
no one does in this movie.
No one does.
That's the whole
even though
point
he
of the
says,
movie.
Yeah.
But he never does.
He tells Cohen. He's basically telling Cohen
there's not a single person in this movie when given the choice to do the right thing or keep their job or make money or move ahead does't pick number two. They all do number two.
And they explicitly say, the characters explicitly say more than once, like there never is a choice. I guess, it never makes sense not to come in and take the severance. Like you tripped on this in the Discord, and
but why is he poking Jared in the eye then? Why doesn't he tell Jared? Why doesn't he say, of course, we'll do whatever you want, dude. Well, we'll fucking.
He's only doing it out of it's the only thing that he cares. The only reason he's getting exercise here is out of loyalty to Sam. He has loyalty to Sam. He cares about Sam. Like that's the only thing that's the only thing that's being exercised.
But I guarantee you that if there's a scene where they go, well, Sam's not going to do it,
he would fuck Sam.
Say, all right, I'm in.
Yeah, totally. It's just like it doesn't serve him in this moment for that to be the case.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no heroes in this movie.
All right. Well, so let's go to his other monologue, which is "fuck the little people."
Yes. Yeah,
This
he's
is going
like
to affect people. Yeah, it's going to affect me.
No, he's got this great line which I transcribed because I liked it so much. It was just like, like they want to live in a big, they drive a big fucking car and live in a big fucking house they can't afford. And the only reason they could do that is because I've got my hand on the scale. If I take my hand off, things get really fucking fair, really fucking quickly, and no one wants this. They say they do, but they don't. And that is the like crux of the whole movie is that the reason why these guys exist, the reason why this whole situation happened is because the American dream was predicated on you can own a home if you want to. And the only way that was possible for people who had no job and no income was if we engaged in questionable financing practices, assuming that the housing market would never have a correction. And that's, and it wasn't to get people houses. It was to make a whole bunch of fucking money. But it was predicated on the desire for that people had to have houses. And yeah, that's a truth in this movie.
I'm not sure. Well, so for me, I'm not sure that it's the people who couldn't afford the houses that he was talking about in that speech. I was thinking it was more talking about the people who wanted the ultra leveraged finances that were, financing the second or third house in the Hamptons.
It's kind of one of the same though.
Yeah.
It's whether you are buying a second or third home in the Hamptons you can't afford, or your McMansion in Florida, outside of Phoenix that you can't afford. It's all the same.
Yeah, it's all the same system that enabled all of that to be bought on credit because it was assumed that they had this mathematical certainty that they could absorb the risk of the value of those homes never decreasing below certain thresholds.
I guess I'm saying that the notion of somebody scrimping to barely be able to buy their first home is not comparable to the people at the helms of these corporations that were engaging in these massive levels.
He is putting it on the consumer, saying it's like the drug wars, right? Like if you didn't want to get high, we wouldn't sell it. And he's saying to them, if you didn't want to buy this thing that you can't afford, and you can debate whether that's a moralistic argument, but there is definitely truth to it. People weren't buying those houses, you wouldn't have the bubble.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I think Bettany really, and then he's got all of the phone act. He also, there's another great scene in this is in Brooklyn where Tucci does the whole thing about the bridge, which is fun. And then at the end of it, Bettany's the one who gets the button on the scene. It's like, don't beat yourself up. Some people just like the long way home. Like, it's just like, dismisses this whole thing. And then he does the whole thing on the phone where he's talking to all of his counterparts and fucking them all over. I was like, how's the trouble and strife and like doing all this bullshit. It's like today's, my loss is your gain. Like, and this whole fucking.
I think he really sells the idea that he would be good at being a trader.
Yep.
And that he'd be good at being charming and that the younger guys would look up to him. But that and that resentment of him not getting even though he made $2.5 million last year, that his resentment over not getting to the top still pisses him off. And I think all of it is really well played.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing here, Bettany. This is like 4 years before he is, Vision. He's doing the voice of Jarvis at this point already in the MCU, but it's not until 2015 that he first, dons that makeup. And this same year, he had Legion, the whatever post-apocalyptic angel movie, and Priest, which was like
when was Master and Commander?
I think that's like 2003.
Okay,
I think that was early, significantly earlier. He's also in Knight's Tale. That was the first time I ever saw him.
He's just fucking great. He's just a champion.
He is really great.
Really great.
Love him.
Love that guy. Shout out to Paul Bettany.
His accent was slightly confusing me. Sometimes it felt like he was doing something, and I couldn't quite figure out what it was. But
he's British. I don't know if you know that. I felt that there could my interpretation of the accent thing, which I don't know if it's true, and I'm not an expert in English accents, but I felt there were times in which he was playing up his working class accent more than more than maybe he would do it. He was context switching essentially. There are times at which he was kind of playing up his working class accent, and there are times at which he was kind of doing more of a RP accent to like kind of depending on the situation. So I don't know if that was his intention. We'll get Paul Bettany on the pod and ask him.
He did like an escape hatch post one time. Our master.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's big for us.
I think Yatanis tagged him.
Oh, that's great.
And and he tagged back. Peter, where do you want to start, my friend?
I wrote in my notes Kevin Spacey.
All right,
Very
let's
good
go.
Actor. Yeah. If we were going to do Paul Bettany, because I don't know, I haven't gone through the Spacey filmography, but it might be the last time I got to fully enjoy a Kevin Spacey like being awesome performance before that all stopped. And now, now that we don't like Kevin Spacey for well-founded reasons, it's kind of you're tempted to sort of like, oh, he wasn't that good of an actor, or he was very hammy. And I think this is really, really fucking good because he really gives a great rousing speech, right? That's a great clip at the end. And that speech is very fucking nuanced, right? Because it's supposed to be a go kill him, but he's also like, we've all done a lot of great work here, and your work is not going to be. And he just kind of waves he does a real subtle wave of his hand because he can't even like finish the thought effectively. And I really fucking enjoy him. And he's again very believable as a guy on the downslope of his career, but is pretty high up. Doesn't need the job probably, although he says at the end he does need the money because it turns out he's been divorced. Been divorced to a woman whose reaction. Side note: if you get divorced and then you show up at your wife's house in the middle of the night digging a hole in the yard, to bury your dog.
Your dog is apparently a shared pet at one point.
I can't imagine how it's going to go. I just can't imagine the version. The one thing I don't think happens is she goes, well, I'm going back in the house. The alarm is set, so don't come in. It's
not as like a super jokey thing. It's like I feel compelled to tell you like you're not coming inside, and it's going to be physically impossible for you to do so.
And it's also Madam President. It's Rosalind.
It's like President
she
Rosalind.
Looks great.
She looks great.
But he does a great job of conveying like this is a guy who's really succeeded and has stature, but also has weakness and also like is not going to tangle with the guys above him or who have more juice. Like he kind of also knows his place. And
he does say "fuck you" to Jared, which I thought was surprising. Fuck me. I thought that was
he's got the capacity to say "fuck you" to Jared, but he still does what Jared
he still does it
and want him to do in the end. Going back to the theme.
And he, like at every set, he doesn't want to do the sale. He does the sale. He doesn't want to stay post the sale. He stays post the sale. Like so, he like this movie is in a number of scenes about who has the greater will to get what they want out of the thing, and it's never Sam. Like he doesn't, like and
it's never anyone saying this isn't right. We can't do this. No one ever says, and thus I'm not going to do it.
Totally.
Anyway, there's not much else to say except Kevin Spacey's really fucking good. There's people who would say, well, I feel complicated feelings when I watch a Kevin Spacey movie, but either because enough time has passed since the initial Kevin Spacey or just because this performance is so good, I can just enjoy it without reservation.
And this is like season 2 of House of Cards time frame. Like, so he was like really in the moment.
Oh, and that by the way, is some horse shit acting.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's fine for what it's supposed to, but he's doing foghorn, leghorn. It's like, it's terrible.
Pretty big. Oh, yeah.
It's
that's
over the
fair.
top. This is the opposite of that. This is like
that's fair.
A believable version of that character.
So my question is, it felt to me like the structure of the film was specifically designed to make sure that we're clear that there are no heroes. We end with Sam, and we've been following Sam's journey as he's been trying to figure out what he's going to do. And that's the credits. But I didn't understand why it didn't start with Sam. Like, I didn't understand why it didn't anchor so that you had structurally have him as the through line for the full movie, but rather started with the layoffs.
A very early part of the scene is Sam crying over his dog, right? I mean, that's like
that's 11 minutes. It's 11 minutes in before he's introduced because you got the layoffs and you've got the.
But the layoffs happen before. The layoffs happen after he's crying over his dog. The
layoffs. The layoffs are the very first thing that happens. The movie opens with the layoffs, and it opens with Seth and Peter and Will. And Will's like, just keep your head down and keep going, and then Tooch gets laid off, and all that stuff happens, and then it goes to him crying over the dog. So I just thought that was an odd. For me, I thought that was an odd choice. I don't understand why it didn't open with him in that position and then roll from there.
Take it up with JC.
I don't think I think this movie lacks a protagonist in a conventional
purpose.
sense. Yeah, because it's not really about the movie doesn't want to have like a This is one of my points, so I'll get to it whenever.
Peter Sullivan is the closest, right? Zach Quinto is the closest. He's
Yeah,
the guy
yes.
who discovers it.
He goes on a journey.
Yeah, he goes on a journey.
But this is my point. But then why don't you end the movie with Peter like at the club with Will or whatever, and like he's taking the next step on the ladder?
This movie is unsubtle in lots of ways and does a lot of spelling out of both plot and themes, and I want to talk about that later, but there's lots of parts where it's just subtle and it makes you have to do a little bit of work, and Zach Quinto's story at the end is that's just told as an aside, like, we're promoting him, and we're now in the executive lunchroom, you've moved up, and you have to think about that on your own. I like it.
Okay, I did. I thought about it. I like it to be neater. I'm a simple man. Well, I will start with Jeremy Irons. Jeremy Irons is extremely goated, and he does another fantastic performance here. And it's interesting. I feel like he has kind of he's like in that territory of like the memification, right? Similar to, who's a good example? What's his name from Blue Velvet, right? Where it's like it just becomes too much, and it becomes too much of a caricature. And I love seeing him back in Watchmen. Like that was the first time I'd seen him in a while, and felt like he was doing something really great. But to me, just amazing in here. Every moment, the little moves that he does on the table, and he's always kind of futzing with his nose, and then also I thought it was interesting the number of times they showed this notion of trying to be good leaders in the moment of this, even though they're kind of doing some horrible things. This notion of saying, talk to me, first of all, explain it as you were explaining to a young child or a golden retriever, to kind of set Peter at ease, which was really funny. But this idea of it does not take him long to fully accept that something really shitty has just happened, and that they're going to have to actually do something, and that they can do something about it. And I guess I've been in so many meetings where senior management has refused to accept the truth of what was going on. And then you go through this like shitty process for a long time before you finally are willing to do the hard thing. So I'm kind of curious what your guys' take was of that, and how he was portraying that.
Peter, what do you think?
Sorry, I was thinking of Jerry Maner's trivia. I'm going to lay on you in a minute, but no, I think he's good. Like his job is to make a decision in the end, right? He makes the decision, and he says to Kevin Spacey, like, this is just the start of this, right? We're going to have to do this throughout. This is I had to do this now. I'm not belaboring it. We're just going to make the call. I think it's super convincing. And if you read any of the histories of that crash, it's a lot of stories about some men who sort of figured it out and said, we got to do it. And other guys are like, no, what are you talking about? We can ride this down. Or someone, and the people who moved quicker got out better.
It's funny. The whole talk to me as you would a young child or a golden retriever line was fodder on Twitter yesterday, I think. There's a Mark Andreessen like back and forth about it. And someone made the point. Mark Andreessen said something. He speaks in a language I no longer understand, so I can't really tell you what his point was. But someone made the point that if any executive ever tells you in a meeting, "I'm not that smart," that they do not mean they're not that smart. Like that is not.
It's a power thing.
Yeah,
they do,
yeah.
and they do that throughout the movie. There are scenes of a guy who's superior to the guy below him saying, I can't do this math. You explain it to me. Right. And it's both a power move and also just plot writing. Like it's explication. You spell out what the thing is, and it happens, I think, at least 3 different times as they're explaining. The math
Sam says
paper.
It to Will when he gets called back into the office. There's like a they do the same thing with Asif Mamdi, I think. The scene with Asif, there's
Jared says, just don't sugarcoat it. Just tell the truth. You're not smarter.
But prior to that, he goes when he brings Peter Sullivan in,
and they have it's hard to find someone at the copy shop at this hour. That whole scene, like they do. Someone in that scene does like, I can't read this or whatever. And so like it's a power move. It's a way of getting people at ease. I love Jeremy Irons. This is my second point, so I'll just pile on here. Like, the midpoint of the movie, the Dulux division of the movie, is the sell it all today. Like, it is it's the moments between the from where I'm standing now, I can't hear anything, and the sell it all today. I think that's...
So what you're telling me is the music is about to stop, and we'll be holding the biggest bag of odorous excrement in the history of capitalism.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's the other reason he does the I'm not that smart is because when he goes through, what have I told you since the first time you walked in my office? There's 3 ways to make money in this business: cheat, be smarter, or be first. And he's like, and so it's like it's to set up what he knows is going to have to happen, which is that he's going to have to do this fire sale because he already contends. He's like, well, I'm not that smart. No one's that smart. So that leads out. We only have one path out of this.
While we're still on Irons, this is also from Semaphore. Initially, it was going to be, I had it written down here. Who played Gandhi?
Ben Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley was attached. Tim Robbins.
I kept thinking Christopher Plummer. I was like, where's Christopher? Why is
Tim
Christopher
Robbins
Plummer not in
was
this
brought
movie?
in and said this film doesn't have a moral at the end, and there needs to be some kind of comeuppance. And then they wrote, apparently, the dining room scene, the lecture about money and how it doesn't mean anything. And then Irons was supposed to come in for 2 days of shooting, like over July 4th or something, and they figured out last second he didn't have the right visa. So there was this thought that maybe he wouldn't be able to come in at all. And they were going to bring in some actor who played a role in a TV show called The Nanny. So someone will have to Google that because I don't know who that was. But the point is, when they eventually got him, and it was all rushed, and like we barely got him. We got him for 2 days, and I think that comes through in the performance too. Like everyone's like so excited when he shows up, and we've only got a limited amount of time with him, and they
did all this in 2 days with him.
Yep.
Holy shit.
There has to be a reshoot somewhere because, as Discord members will know, one of my quibbles with the movie is that Jeremy Irons wears a button-down shirt with a suit in this boardroom scene, which, while not being technically illegal, is, I think, a style faux pas, and is particularly for someone who's in his place of prestige. He would have a bespoke tailored suit and a collared shirt, not button down. And at some point, though, in one of the cutaways to him, he has the collar of the shirt changes. Like some hero in wardrobe realized they fucked this up and switched the shirt out.
I spent a lot of time in this movie just thinking about how everyone has kept it together in their suits and power
they have
suits
the ties
for
still
its,
done
for
up.
Its
Yeah,
full 24 hours.
Yeah,
and it's 5 a.m. and everything. Yeah. They show that there's people getting loaded at the bar and then coming in, but like the idea that they were all sort of available to be brought in at 4 or 5 in the morning.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
It's good.
He's so great. Like him and Sam, when Sam is pushing back and saying, you'll kill the market for years, you're selling something that has no value. We're selling to willing buyers at the market price so that we will survive.
Yeah.
You'll never sell again. I understand. Do you? Do you?
Yeah.
This is it. Like,
it's really good. So this goes to like Jeremy Irons' will just triumphing. Like he's just stronger than anyone else. Like he has more will, more ability to exert what he wants to have happen. The other scene I think is really relevant is when he fires Demi Moore's character. So he comes into her office. He's like, I need a head. It's you. And she starts pushing back. He's like, I told you, he's like, I don't think that's how you want it. He's like, I really would appreciate if you didn't fight me on this. Like he just firmly, he like kind of does like a gentle parenting thing where he's just
big time.
I'm just going to like continually restate that this is not what's going to happen. What I want is what's going to happen. And that will become reality.
And I also don't need to spell out how bad it would be for you if you like, yes, you
there's
can
no
go
threat.
make a stink.
You
think that you're going to take this to the press. And you could, but we will make it miserable
for you. Yeah. There'll be nothing for you on the other side of that. It's very well acted. He's a tremendous force in this movie, except for the fact that he has on the wrong shirt for about half of it.
He does do one little wince in the bathroom after he's trying to sell Kevin Spacey.
Yes, that's a good call. He doesn't in the bathroom. He comes in. He's got a number for Kevin on the piece of paper, and like Kevin kind of leaves like sort of pissily, being like, "I will do what's best for the firm, as I always have," or whatever. It's just like, oh God, and he's just like, this fucking bitch. Like, you know, he knows he doesn't have the deal done with him at that point. So yeah, that's like the one example of someone. And that's like sort of the second time.
He's also
basically
sick of Sam's shit,
he's,
right?
Yeah,
like he's sick of Sam
he's
complaining.
like, you're already in the boardroom.
But he doesn't, like, he's used he's tried the carrot.
Yeah.
He hasn't brought the stick out, but like he doesn't really have a lot of options. He has to hope Kevin Spacey gets it together.
Yeah.
But that final monologue, it's money, pieces of paper with pictures on it. 1637, 37, 57, 84, 1901.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call this, it's all the same thing over and over. We can't help ourselves and we can't slow it. We just react, make a lot of money if we get it right, left on the side of the road if we're wrong. There will always be the same percentages of winners and losers.
Yeah.
The percentages stay exactly the same.
Yeah, it's really strong.
It's good writing.
It's great writing. The movie like doesn't have a lot going on. It's a bunch of people talking in rooms. But they are phenomenal actors, some of the best of their generation, and it is dazzling writing, like really dazzling writing.
That's my point. I also enjoy the writing, but I do think there's times when it gets too purple and too Junior Mammoth, and it definitely has this is my first movie. I've got a lot of stuff I want to say, and I'm writing and directing it. So everyone's going to have awesome lines, which they do, right? It's how you get actors like that too. And it's not they're not supposed to be speaking realistically.
Sure.
Right? They're not actually speaking how human. It's heightened, and there's a lot of explication, like we talked about. But there's also just like a bunch of stuff that I think when you see the clips of it, it doesn't stand out because you don't see some of the weaker or more showy stuff. But there's a lot of like repetition, and I love repetition as a writer myself. I probably use it too much, but there's like. Cohen's in the first boardroom meeting is like, "What time is it? 2:15.
Yeah.
Me.
What time?
Yeah.
What time is it? 2:16.
That stood out to me on
there's
like my seventh watch.
Yeah, there's the Demi Moore and Tucci scene. It's like it seemed like the right choice at the time. It always did, and they repeat the same line a sentence after. And again, it's the first time I've really noticed it, but it's the first time I've given it a serious watch in a long time. And I don't mind it at all. But it's definitely almost closer to like play acting.
Yeah.
In the way that like Glengarry is a play, right? And then a movie. And when you watch the movie, you don't mind. The fact that it's stagey and heightened doesn't diminish at all. But
I bet he had that totally. I bet he had that totally dialed in by the time he got to Kraven the Hunter.
Terrible.
It's like a dream. Oh, I don't know. It seems like we actually may have just woken up. There's a few of them where I'm
all
right,
yeah.
you underlined it a little too
That's
heavily.
a clunker.
Right.
I think
these are champagne problems to critique.
I think there's also like sort of actor pairings that maybe don't work as well. Like I don't think the Jared Cohen Penn Badgley scene in the bathroom where he's shaving is like particularly glittering.
It's interesting though. Jared has zero like empathy at all.
Yeah.
But he does have this genuine reaction when Seth says all he's ever wanted to do.
He's
like,
really? Yeah, it's sort of like it. I do think it does like kind of a good job in that like he comes across as like this predator who like is temporarily not like eating gazelles, but like is not very concerned with the plight of gazelles. And so, there's that. But it just I don't know. Penn Badgley isn't my favorite part of the movie either. So there's I get what
that's
Peter's
a Seth
saying.
character.
That's Seth.
Yeah,
he's an empty suit.
Yeah.
Like I just like.
Well, but that's the thing. Like half of them are empty suits
doing.
Who only want to buy and sell, and the other half are empty suits.
How much does he make? How much does he make?
The other half are empty suits who at one point did something with their lives. Right. I was a rocket scientist. I built a bridge.
Yeah.
I did something else besides this.
Yeah.
What do we want to say about Demi? Like she's not given very much to do in the film. And to me, it was an interesting thing. Like you do have this big revelation that all of this actually was not some super secret. It's not just that Peter has figured this out. They knew this was coming. They knew there was risk of this as an issue. It just hadn't been fully documented in the way. I thought that was interesting. And I liked her initial pairing on the on the outside looking in, watching the Tooch get fired, to then having to sit next to him and kind of like halfway apologize for what had happened, I thought was a nice journey there. And he gave her a little grace in that moment.
I was worried they were going to set her up to be the bad lady. That somehow among all these bad characters, she was actually the one responsible for it. But they make it clear, like, she is the same self-interested cog that everyone else is. And which
Asif is just off to the side, like he's going to let her get...
and she's smart, and she's made it at the top of the risk management field, I guess. Not for long though. But they don't shade her in any way, and so that's a victory for feminism, says me.
Peter, what is your next point?
Well, I did the writing. I guess the other thing with again, I've not worked in finance, but I have worked in I have been a youngish person working in New York, and some of the writing were like, how much money does this guy make? When like clearly you would know all these numbers if you were a young person in Wall Street. You would know that the CEO made $86 million.
You would know what your MD made too. You would
100%. All those numbers are public. But leaving that aside, how much money does that guy make? How much money do you need to live in New York? What is the right number you would need? That is 100% real conversations that I had all the time. Thought about it all the fucking time. If I made this much, I would live this way. I couldn't imagine making this much. How does that guy make this much? And that, I don't know where else. Maybe that's universal. Everyone thinks like that, but it was 100% me in my 20s in New York thinking that way.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think my favorite part of that is when they're at the strip club and it's like how much do these girls take home, and they're doing like 1,500, 2,000.
Yep.
So that's pretty good. Like, like they're like that constant sort of like
are they making more than us?
Yeah. I think there's two aspects of it. One is I think a thing that is particular to finance and maybe particular to New York, which is the how much they make. What it would be like to live on that number. And like, what's my number? I think that's like a particular that's like idiosyncratic to those cultures. There's another aspect which I think is more universal, or not universal, but is more widespread to sort of a particular kind of nerd. And you see this out here now in particular, where it's just like you're constantly trying to quantify things. You're kind of put probabilities around things. You're trying to come up with, like what's the spreadsheet for how this works. Like I was out to dinner with a bunch of nerds, and we went to the House of Prime Rib, which is like, our famous prime rib place institution here in San Francisco. And it was just like 20 minutes of like, what do they clear here a night? Like, how much does it cost? Like, how would it work? And it's just like this like pricing. And you also see this
cocktails, $18. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. Like you also see this. You also see this with gamblers. There's a big crossover in culture between gamblers and finance people. In fact, there's a lot of cross-pollination between those cohorts. And there's people who've been very successful in gambling, go over work in finance and whatever. And there is a quality with gamblers in particular, and it's why they do well in finance, where they just see when there's an edge in a bet. Like they're just like, oh, that's like, that's actually like a 51.50. That's a 51.49 proposition, and someone's offering me a coin flip. Like I'm going to bet $10 million on that because like my EV is like, is positive, is like, is reasonably positive here. And there is like a real knack that people have, and that you see that in prop betting. You see that in like, sort of just being willing to wager money as a symbol of conviction.
Conviction and also pleasure with yourself that you discovered
for being clever.
Thing.
Yeah.
Jason, your last point?
My last point is a discussion about the thematic level of the movie, and we've touched on a little bit of just like, what is this movie saying? Why isn't there a traditional protagonist? And so I think the way into that discussion for me is like the movie is about a system. Like, it is about a tragedy of a system. And that system is financialized capitalism. It is the system which, is the Paul Bettany speech that we've all bought into because it enables a certain lifestyle. And that, like, if it stopped working, life would get real fucking real fast, and no one wants that. And in the context of buying into that system, it does mean that, like, we all generally as society, but particularly the people who are operating the levers, become kind of inexorably like linked to a set of immoral decisions, or like decisions that like offer no other choice, like because it's just like, yeah, like you always take the severance, like you never go to the cops and say like, yeah, they're doing shady shit, because it, your expected value is better of the company surviving and you getting paid tomorrow than the company collapsing and you getting nothing. And it means that Jeremy Irons, when confronted with reality, is like, no, we're going to sell everything today. And yeah, it's going to burn the street down. Like a bunch of people are going to go out of business this week, but there'll be money to be made on the other side of it for us if we're right. And, that's just the nature of it. Like this isn't like this isn't a place where we're all going to hold hands and walk into the sea together. Like we're going to take the first lifeboat out of here. And all of those decisions are obviously like, immoral zero-sum decisions. Like they're not communitarian decisions. They're not decisions that like sort of are about promoting like general welfare, general good for everyone. But that's the dynamic that everyone's in, and the dynamic that we all are in, to be clear, to varying degrees. I think like that's the point of the movie, and not having protagonists. And like, Peter ends up getting promoted, and he's like, yeah, he found this thing, but he's just going to continue on, and he's going to forget that Seth even worked there or whatever, just as they say at the beginning of the movie. I would distinguish this movie as a systems movie from other types of system movie. Another auteur who's very interested in how systems end up corrupting people and constraining the choices they make is Tony Gilroy. And, Peter joined us for Michael Clayton, which is definitely a movie, also set in New York, about how, corporate culture constrains morality, like makes certain decisions, like killing someone, seem like the only decision that's possible, given the stakes involved. However, Michael Clayton has a protagonist. His name is in the title of the movie, and he's the protagonist. At least he's an anti-hero, if not a hero in the movie, because he, burns Tilda at the end and like, rides off in a taxi cab. Like it has a point of view. And so Tony Gilroy has a more moralistic kind of point of view, which is to say, like, no. Like, even when you're in the system, there are choices that you can make that are perhaps destructive to you, or self-sacrificing, but allow, some kind of way out. Sometimes self-sacrificing choices actually involve
like
some degree
a
of
70s
sacrifice.
Anti-hero protagonist would be.
Yeah.
Like, they might be doomed, but they're going to try to do the right thing. Also, reminds me a lot of The Wire. Right, which is all about systems.
I was going to say that The Wire was also on my list, which is, everyone's just playing their part. McNulty's doing his job as a cop, even though he wants to get outside. He ends up pushing the boundaries in certain ways, but like he can't change the way in which policing is done in Baltimore, or which the drug war is being prosecuted. Like that is, and the people who are selling drugs are going to be selling drugs because that's it's all in the game. So I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting the place that this movie exists within systems cinema, which is, I would say, my favorite genre outside of science fiction. If you can have both at once, that would be great. But yeah, that's what I was thinking about with this.
But at the end of the day, like, capitalism is still good, in my opinion. I think the system is.
I think it's value neutral. I think it's difficult to say. I think it's difficult to say it's good. I think it's the best.
Is there a more efficient? Is there?
No,
a better system
I'm a capitalist. I still
organizing?
believe in capitalism. I think I wouldn't switch to another system. I think it's difficult
Capitalism
to say.
plus firm regulation and a reasonable tax structure
I don't
should lead to an overall
capitalism. Capitalism will not produce a value system that is, moralistic or good maximizing for the community writ large. It will lead to systems like this. Now, it's also important to distinguish between capitalism, like, I think there should be a free market of trades of goods and services, or even like the stock market of like, you want to sell some ships to the British East Indies and I will buy stock in your company to take a share of future profits, like that version of capitalism, and financialized capitalism, which is this is the system that the movie is very much interested in examining. Financialized capitalism, I think, is difficult to say is even value neutral at this point. Like it's
just betting.
It's just betting. And it creates all of these externalities and incentivizes all of these behaviors for, lever the shit out of it. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, unless there's a regulation that makes it illegal to do so, like, you should be able to make a derivative on a derivative on a derivative and 1,000 times X your bet. And if it all blows up, like, there's money made on the other side of that. Like, there's really no incentive to prevent that from happening.
And they're clear, right? No one has, there's no sense, there's talk that, the government might come in. But they don't say because you'd be committing a crime.
Right.
They'd say because you'd be fucking up the economy. Like there's no one ever says that's illegal.
Right.
And this was made still when there was still a debate about whether anybody was going to be jailed.
Right. And and like this is obviously it's a point of this is where as a former Obama staffer I get a little agitated because like one of the big kind of strikes that leftists have against Obama is like no one ever went to jail for the financial crisis. Like Obama has gotten that question many, many times. The reason why no one went to jail is because there wasn't a law that they had broken. Like in a system in which, we believe that you don't just drag your political enemies off to jail for no reason. Like
Boring.
there has to, you have to have a law. You have to have a law that that someone actually broke and this behavior and the things that were done here were not illegal. They were not illegal. So, we weren't going to send the CEO of Bear Stearns to jail. So that's, there needs to be a law. The only way it gets constrained if there's a law.
I had a thought. I got scared the other day. I was hiking and I was just thinking about China and the fact that they just decided that they would do the high-speed roads everywhere. They would dominate the EV market. They would dominate the solar market. They would build high transmission rated thousands of lines. And they just did it. They did it all. They built it all. They've completely transformed their entire economy. And I thought the whole thing was that in these centrally planned economies, that's never supposed to be able to work better than capitalism. Like we're supposed to be the more...
Well, but I do think you'd still rather have maybe the last...
I agree. My question is, can we actually respond? Can we successfully respond and say, like, we need to transform our economy and move forward in a positive way?
We've done enough pods on the abundance agenda, haven't we? Like I feel we've already sort of. I feel we were for the abundance agenda and still are, but we need Ezra to come back to. We need Ezra to come on the pod and explain his sins and why he wrote a terrible headline once. Then we'll come back.
I'm just worried. I'm just worried. I have a couple of honorable mentions. Starting with layoffs are tough. So I when I was in 2001, I had my startup and had to shut it down, and then was working at Transact Plus, which was a startup partially owned by J.P. Morgan, and we ran into we were trying to accelerate to T+1 instead of T+3 transactions being resolved on the street. And when the layoffs happened, they got everybody together. They let us know, okay, the guys are here. They're going to do the layoffs. They're going to come get you if you need to go in there. And the first part, our head of engineering explained how the process was going to work. And then he went, and then nobody came back. And it turned out that he was the very first person that they laid off, which I thought was really dumb to have the person delivering your story be the first person you laid off. And it was like awful standing there waiting as the angel of death is walking around the office, and the poor HR woman was like, I feel so terrible, like everyone, and I'm like, don't worry, everyone understands, it's not personal. She's like, oh, thank you. Come on, it's your turn.
Yeah.
And it was just
I went through a layoff where that woman who was doing the head of HR was then fired at the end.
Yeah,
it
the
was
last
like
one.
It was like the two astronauts in space meme.
No loose ends.
But I mean, again, I think it's not that hard. I think most people sort of understand what a layoff might be like, but like the idea of one, there's just the terror of getting laid off, and there's also an information economy going on. Who is getting laid off? Who knows about what's getting laid off?
Right.
Like Paul Bettany knows who's getting laid off, right? But the people below him don't. And I've been in various versions of that where like you have no idea what's happening, or actually you do know that Bob in the cube next to you is going to get it, but he doesn't know yet, and none of it's fun. But it all does it does a real good job of focusing you, like all these characters do, on exactly what's right in front of you and how you're going to make it through the day and the next part of your career.
But I worked in a large corporation that had layoffs almost every year, and I will just say that my boss who ran that, he had like such an organized communication plan, like where people were going to be, what conference rooms were going to be, what time the meetings were going to go off and the announcements were going to go, and make sure that all the right people had everything they needed, versus this notion that Elon has pioneered of like, let's just be nihilistic and as kind of like ruthless and evil as we can be. And it's just really scary to me that that has taken root and now has become something that, you know, is being celebrated in the government and in tech.
I don't know if it's. We'll see how much of that influence actually seeps through. But by the way, this movie does do a good job of the Elon firing the people who turn out to be core to the company, and they have to go back and get them back to work.
Yes.
But, you know, one thing you'll see a lot when media companies have layoffs, they're way overcovered because media people like to write about themselves. And frequently in some of the shittier versions of these stories, you'll see someone quoted, or the entire part of the story was, such and such company handled the layoffs the wrong way. And then there'll be a complaint about what they did that was wrong. And many times they are fucking it up. But no one who's ever gone through a layoff goes, that was a great layoff.
Great. Well, it was really tasteful.
Well engineered. I'm glad that I got the email at the right time and the conference room at the right time. No one cares.
No, it doesn't help. It doesn't help. I was pleased to see this week that Elon Musk agreed to settle with fired Twitter execs over this dispute.
Oh, this isn't the Vigil lawsuit. That's still continuing. Yeah. Oh, is it? Oh, they did?
He
lost.
Okay,
great.
Yeah.
Oh,
he settled.
So. Although there was a little bit of like actually in the filing, someone was pointing out that it was conditional on something being met, and so there was still a chance that it wouldn't actually go through. They didn't, and no one knew what it was. I can assume it's as basic as Elon has to write a check that goes into my account, but who knows?
Yeah, we'll dismiss the lawsuit if you do this.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Other last bits. I did like Peter's. They have no idea, like the people walking around the street, that it was like almost post-apocalyptic. That like.
Oh, and and that was also like when it's revealed that Sam's son works in finance, and he never thought to tell his son.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's see. I thought for sure Eric was going to flip. I thought there was going to be a moment where Eric was like going to go to some other company and try and do something to disrupt them unloading stuff.
Matt's
Sam's
always looking for a hero.
When Sam says, you're going to get a 1.4 million bonus, or you get a 1.3 million bonus for the floor, no one's getting any of those bonuses. That's all just complete.
Well, they would have.
They had to sell at 93%, and they knew they were not going to make 93%. He knew that going into that.
They did. So I think they achieved they sold through. I think they got I think that's wrong. I think they got the bonuses that they were promised and then were fired.
You don't think they sold, like the fact that they were selling at 85 and 65?
No, they had to sell 93%. They had to sell 93% of what was on the book, not that they had to sell at 93 cents on the dollar.
It is confusing on the first watch, but yeah, you're right. It's not the overall value. It's this all stuff all has to get off our books.
If you get 93%
of less than zero once if we hold it.
If you get 93% of the assets off the book, then you get this price. Yeah. And they needed permission to sell at certain, at new levels. So they couldn't just call the first guy and be like, it's 10 cents on the dollar, take it all.
That was really good. The way they unfolded that with Will doing those calls was really
The numbers all seem charmingly small.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Can you believe he made $2.5 million?
Yeah.
He's a big swinging dick on Wall Street.
Yeah, exactly.
What would he be doing otherwise?
Yeah.
Killer Phil at 65. Peter, who would Tilda Swinton play?
That's a good one, man.
That's a good one for this one.
I mean,
she'd
be a great Jeremy Irons.
Cleaning lady. Oh yeah.
Cleaning lady was great, but you got to give her something. You got to give her something to chew on. And it's got to be meaningful, right? She can't be Penn Badgley, where it's just a sort of a side character. So I got to go Jeremy Irons.
I think that's right. I don't have a better option than that. I think she would fucking crush. Oh my God. I really want to. We need to get Tilda Swinton on the show just so we could feed her a bunch of lines. Be like, would you just be like, we are selling to willing buyers at the current fair market price.
Nice. All right. Are you guys ready to do some quick voicemails?
Do it.
Let's go.
Okay. Here is our first voicemail.
Hello, Bogpod. Hey, Bogpod. Hello, Bogpod. Hey, Bogpod. Hello, Bogpod. Hey, Bogpod. Bogpod.
Bogpod.
G'day, Margin Call was really good. Pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this, like, jargony dad finance movie. It's very interesting as a part of a broader project to enhance my understanding of the very, very bad thing that happened to the world while I was playing Wii Sports in my living room. Also, an interesting observable phenomena is that it's reminded me, as I navigate my 20s, a pervasive fantasy of mine that has just kind of emerged over the past couple of years has been to at some point have the opportunity to mournfully ponder important things while also dressed very well. Mm-hmm. Just at some point in my life, I'd like those two Venn diagrams to intersect, have things on my mind, and look sharp as hell at the same time. Which brings me to my question. What is the best outfit you've ever worn in your life? Further, what were the best circumstances in which you had a cooler shit outfit on? Like, when have you been like, at what point in your life have you been walking around a room being like, damn, I look sharp as hell right now? Hopefully that happens to me at some point in the next 10 years. Hopefully I have important things on my mind while it's happening. We'll see. Lots of love. See ya.
It's pretty strong. Pretty strong.
Nice. Jason, your dress up.
I mean, when I went to go work for the White House, I was moving from New York to San Francisco, or to DC. And I had actually bought a bunch of pretty cool clothes in New York because I had lost a bunch of weight. I was the best shape of my life. And so I had a lot of cool outfits, but they were all casual outfits. So I went to Barney's in New York and just went ham in the men's suiting department and bought like 6 SIA suits. And they were awesome. Like, they were great suits. The only problem is that, like, Democratic administrations don't really wear like $3,000 suits. And so I was definitely out of place on day one. I did not change my wardrobe at any point because I had already spent a bunch of money on it, and they looked great.
You look good. Yeah.
Everyone else was going to have to deal with that.
Where did you get the shirts? Did you do custom
There were
shirts?
also SIA. I got them tailored at Barney's. The dress shirts I had darting put in, so they would be a little more form fitting. Yeah, it was nice.
I might have adjusted the collar.
It was nice. It was great. I looked great.
Your Cyril Karn moment.
I look fantastic. Anytime I see a photo of myself from the White House, I like mostly think I was like, oh, love to be in that kind of shape again. It's great.
Peter.
Isn't that there's some line about like whatever you look like today, just know that
that's the best you'll
years,
ever look. Yeah, exactly.
Look
No,
like,
for sure.
geez,
I think about that all the time too.
I had a blue suit I had when I was working at Forbes that I knew looked good, and I also knew looked good because a woman told me that I cleaned up nice.
Oh, that's nice.
And that stuck in my head.
I will say one of the, when I went to the White House, there was like this whole thing where the tech people who worked there was like, you shouldn't wear a suit. You're like the most senior tech person who got hired here. And like, we're trying to make a movement out of like,
you should wear a sweatshirt.
You don't have to dress up. So I was like, fuck you. Like, I'm working at the White House. Like, I'm wearing a suit. I've wanted a big boy job my whole life. So yeah, I was excited to wear a suit every day. It's great. Wearing a suit is great because it's pretty mindless. Like, there's just kind of a few basic.
Once you have it on,
yeah.
And it is built specifically to make a man look better and to hide your flaws and accentuate what's good.
It's great. It's not great when it's 1 billion degrees in DC and you have to walk outside every day for multiple hours a day.
That's tough.
But aside from that, it's great.
My best look was when I was turning 50 in 2020. And I had just finished training for a half marathon. So I was down at my current weight, which is 163. And then I also went to Mexico and got Montezuma's Revenge in the
that's a good diet tip.
Leading up to my 50th birthday.
Amoebic dysentery for the win.
Yeah, exactly. And I went and bought a Brunello Cucinelli suit.
The Cooch.
And some new boots, and was looking good on my 50th birthday, which was the day before COVID shut down. So
oh wow!
It was like the party was over after that. So
there's a photo recently I took of I don't know, I can't remember if we talked about it on the pod or just in the Discord, but we went we had a family vacation here in Napa. and the hotel had a thing where you could rent a Ferrari for the day. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And there's a photo. There's a photo of me, and because it's a 2-seater, a child can ride in the front legally.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, because there's no back seat, a small child can ride in the front legally. And so Juniper was like super excited because she got to be in the front. And there's a photo of the two of us just like grinning like fools, like sitting in
Looking
a red
good.
Ferrari. I like that one too.
That's really funny. The place we stayed at most recently up there did not have Ferrari. They had Mercedes, but they had some nice.
It's not quite the same.
All right, here is our next voicemail.
This is your brother, Animal Mother.
All right, Animal Mother.
Hello, animal friends and animal lovers. Market bubbles are a tale as old as time, yet we keep lining up for trinkets every other decade or so. Hucksters spin a yarn, push FOMO like it's fentanyl, and go on survival mode when the unsustainable shit inevitably hits the reality fan. That's why I put all of my retirement money in the tulips market. My Wall Street guy gave me the tip, and he owns a Batmobile fueled by cocaine. So I trust he knows what he's talking about. Answer me as if I was a golden retriever. What sociopathic financial advice you have ever personally received? Thank you all. See you at the dog hole, and keep the change, you filthy animals.
First of all, I just want to say for the eventual Spotify DMCA takeoff that we get, that I thought Madonna made a trenchant commentary on consumerism with her video for Material Girl. That's
good commentary you're making about that audio.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Worst advice.
Strong.
Worst sociopathic advice
Worst sociopathic advice I've ever been given?
on financial.
Oh, I mean, someone told me to sell Google at the IPO. That was a mistake. I'll put that up there.
Yeah, that's always tricky, right? You get to the goal line and you're like, whoa. I had a friend of mine who was like, you always take money off the table.
Yeah,
so he's
yeah.
like, just take at least 20% off the table. And then later, if it goes to nothing, it's fine.
Yeah.
And if it goes up, you still have 80%. So that I always try and tell anybody, doing.
It always makes sense. It's the same thing. It's the same to unit. There's never a choice, is there? It always actually is the best financial advice to not have all of your wealth concentrated in one stock.
I definitely had buddies who were all in on a real estate venture in Costa Rica.
Oh.
It made sense because you could go hang out in Costa Rica, but you could also develop and build stuff. And they kind of put the hard sell on me until they realized I literally had no money to contribute to this venture. And I've never once asked them about it since, but the fact that they never talk about it makes me 100% assured it all went to zero.
Yes. I bullet dodged. That is a good. Never get involved in a land war in Asia, I would say. Here is our next voicemail. Mr. Java. Cannot wait to see.
On a warm September
Oh
evening,
yeah,
in an office down on Wall Street,
that's so
I
good.
met up with a gambler to read a file on my thumb drive, and we took turns of staring at the data there before us. The numbers overtook us, and he began to speak. He said, "Son, I've made a life selling imaginary paper, and knowing what the trades are without anger in the SEC. So if you don't mind to say, I can see we're out of bases. Better liquidate positions and work throughout the night. You got to know when to hold 'em. I know when to fold 'em. I know when to walk away. I know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. I gotta tell you, I really did enjoy watching Kevin Spacey's No Good Very Bad Day. Can you tell me about a no good very bad day you had where you really rolled those dice? Maybe it was in Vegas, maybe it was stock market, maybe it was some great story. Tell us how you channeled your inner gambler.
Yeah! Done it again.
So good. I love The Gambler, man. What a great fucking song. That is a real. I love that the gambler dies at the end of The Gambler. It's just it's a real
We
dark
do need
song.
to bring back story songs.
Story songs.
Yeah. Very cool.
The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Harper Valley PTA.
Let's
Oh
go.
my God, that's a good one. Did you ever listen to Cocaine and Rhinestones? Did you ever listen to that podcast?
Mm-mm.
There's a guy who did like classic songs and the background on them, and he did Harper Valley PTA was one of them. Just an hour on all the background on that and why it changed everything.
I'm gonna find this quote really quick because I went to Vegas a couple weeks ago and I won just literally everything I bet. It was an amazing, miraculous week. But we were talking about losing. Oh shit! Hold on. Someone else go while I look for this thing.
I don't have a good story. I've never been any kind of big gambler, and so I sadly.
I have one that ties to this movie, which is I spent a year at a company that was then called Silicon Alley Insider. I was
Oh yeah.
And I left after a year. It was a very difficult year, like just difficult to work at an actual startup. But I got a lot out of it. And at the end of it, it was fall 2008, and the world was starting to fall down. And one thing this movie doesn't get across is how scary it was in the fall of 2008. There was a real, like, the entire financial system might melt down because Congress seemed like maybe they weren't going to step in. And it was really touch and go for a couple weeks. That really seemed like we might not muddle through it.
McCain was like, we got to suspend our campaign.
Yeah, I got to take a pause from the campaign to go deal with it. It was not a great call on his part, but I had a very small equity stake because I was the first employee at Silicon Alley Insider, and I had no idea what to do with it. And the company does not help you figure out what to do with it. And in 2008, I knew almost no one who knew how startups and equity stakes worked. And the only advice I got from people was, well, if you need any of this money, like to buy diapers and stuff, which I did because I had a kid, don't exercise these options because you have to pay money for the options and you had to pay taxes. And the bill was money that I had but really didn't have. And I was like, fuck it. I'm going to do it. I'm sure the entire financial system is melting down anyway. I might as well just throw this on the fire. And this is not financial advice. Don't do this. But it all worked out for me.
It all worked out.
7 years later, they sold the company. Axel Springer wanted to buy the Financial Times. At the very last second, Nikkei, the Japanese conglomerate, took it from them. And so basically they went out and bought what was then called Business Insider instead.
Yeah.
And I got a huge return.
That's great.
Wow.
That money's all gone. So don't be jealous and definitely do not do what I did. But it did work out.
That's great.
I did the opposite side because I didn't feel like I had the money at the time. And I was like, is this startup, which I was employee number 15, had a product, is this actually going to be a thing at the end of the day? And I had a falling out with the CEO. And so I was like, fuck it. They can't have my money to buy this out. It was going to take like a bunch of savings in order to get it and take it with me. And, you know, what's the chance that they will later get acquired for $1 billion, which later they got acquired for $1 billion.
Yeah.
So that was a pisser, as they would say. Jason, did you find it?
I found the quote. It was by Phil Ivey, the greatest to ever do it in poker. He said, "I like it when I lose so much money I can barely breathe. That's the feeling I go for. I'm addicted to that feeling." Which, thank Christ, has never happened to me. But I do think, like, when you hang out with actual gamblers, like people who really have like incredible risk tolerance, like they really are chasing like that, like sort of, it's all at risk. It's all up at this on this spin of the wheel.
How does that sync with the idea that actually gambling is actually really boring and it's a grind, and the best who do it, if you work out what they're actually getting paid per hour, it's not very much money, and that's for the very best people who could do it professionally? How does that sync with the risk chasing?
I mean, I would refer folks back to our episode on Rounders where we had DJF, who's a professional poker player, on, and I think it's both things are true at once. I think on one hand, poker in particular is tremendously boring, and you really are kind of like looking for these like once every 5-hour spots or whatever, like to like, you know, make your money for the day. And particularly if you're talking about tournament poker players, like, you know, these big tournaments go on for days.
Like having an 8-2 offset.
Yeah, offsuit. Yeah, you like, you know, there's lots of stuff like that. But then a lot of those guys are also going into the pit, and because it's so boring, like chasing a rush of like, let's just see if we can hit like the hard ways, like, you know, and like Phil Ivey is really one of the greatest poker players who's ever lived, but also was playing incredibly high-end baccarat because he'd figured out a way to basically beat baccarat, which is a complicated story. But like, yeah, like there's people who are also like just going in to like figure out like, yeah, where they think they have some edge or like they can chase some sort of high. I am like the most risk averse person I know. And so like as my bankroll has increased, I still am gambling at the same stakes as I was 25 years ago.
It still works.
And it still works for me. Still feels like something to me.
I've included this clip before, but I'm including it again here, which is Norm Macdonald on WTF talking about how once you're up $500,000 and then you're down, you only have $75,000 left, you have to get rid of it.
Yeah.
You
It's
cannot
like poisonous.
stop.
Yeah.
Get rid of the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
We love you, Norm. Here is our next voicemail. The Truth Sayer. All right. Cool. Nope. All right.
Hey, Alberia here. You know, a margin call, everybody looks like they might have worked in Wall Street at some point because, you know, that's the vibe. Crisp suits, stone faces, quiet panic under fluorescent lighting. But what if some of the actors actually almost did? For today's Truth Sayer, here's 3 stories about actors who came close to a life of finance. 2 of these stories are cooked books. One is pure, audited truth. Time for the Truth Sayer. Number 1, Paul Bettany briefly interned at Deutsche Bank in London before landing his breakout role in Wimbledon. He reportedly left the internship halfway through after accidentally replying all on a company-wide email. Or is it number 2? Stanley Tucci originally planned to go into finance, but shifted to acting after a summer job left him numb from filing forms in a strip mall brokerage firm. His father urged him towards business school, but the Tooch had other plans. Or is it number 3? Jeremy Irons once claimed to have obtained a level 4 diploma in investment advice at the Chartered Institute for Securities and Investment, quote, just for fun. And he said in a 1998 interview that he'd consider working in private wealth management again if the roles ever dried up. All right, so which of these almost Wall Street origin stories is actually true?
I mean,
Bettany's believable. I'll go with Bettany.
it is believable. I can see Jeremy Irons being in finance, though. Maybe he's just so good in this movie.
I'll take the Tooch. Let's see. We'll split it.
3 stories about actors who almost landed in finance. Which one was true? It's number 2. Stanley Tucci really did consider going into business, but how do you keep the Tooch away from the camera? I mean, come on. And can I speak for all bald guys? I'm confident he made the right choice.
Oh, yeah.
Here ends the Truth Sayer.
How do you go back to Kansas once you've seen the Tooch?
Yeah. Big Night Win. We should do that movie. Second thing, Favreau, John Favreau, like worked at like Morgan Stanley or at Saks or something, made a truckload of money, and then bought a motorcycle and drove to L.A. and ended up going to Second City, and that's where he like started doing improv stuff, and then ended up getting cast on Rudy. So he made his way. All right, here's our next voicemail.
Gang, it's Kev here, and I will keep it brief in theme with this week's question. Margin Call is a movie I have only seen clips of on YouTube. And the vibe I'm getting from Margin Call is that it was made almost, whether intentionally or not, to be that way, to be served a la carte in clips of monologues explaining how the economy works and just how fucked we really are on YouTube. And you know what? I have to say, if I watched the movie, it would probably be 4.5 classic. But there's a part of me that doesn't want to break the magic of the clips on YouTube. So Kev's question, is there a movie where, trying to make this answerable here, is there a movie that you like to revisit clips from on YouTube? Is there a movie and if not, is there a movie you can imagine coming back to via clips from YouTube? I'll give another great example. Actually, there are many you've covered, but the one that you haven't covered that I need you to cover is the Danny Boyle Steve Jobs biopic with Fassbender. That's another movie that, because it's Sorkin, revolves around these long monologues. And I come back to them all the time. Even if there are parts that now in 2025, the Sorkin of it all is like, ugh, give me a break. All right, so movies you come back to via clips, or that you can see coming back to via clips. Peace and love. We'll talk to you all very soon.
Once again, it's Kev's questions. So why is Kev watching YouTube and not
TikTok?
TikTok.
I don't know. He's an old man at heart. He's an old New Yorker.
I don't consume any media this way, so I'm out of.
Oh, I watch a ton of movies on TikTok. Mostly like, and there's a bunch that like I'll never watch the actual movie of. Mostly like horror movies or like torture porn movies, like movies where it's like some like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is a movie I've never seen. I keep seeing clips of in TikTok. I'm like, I don't know if I never.
That is a good movie. It's a well done movie. I recommend it.
It's got Stellan.
You've already seen the torture porn, so there's not extra torture porn you're missing.
Yeah, so there's that one. There's a lot of like revenge movies. I forget, like there's one where a girl gets like captured and raped, and then she takes revenge on everyone who did it, and like it ends up with someone getting like shot through the rectum with a crossbow. I was like, all right, well, I don't need to. I'm never gonna like fire that one up at home, but like, you know, good to know it's out there, I guess. And yeah, there's a bunch like that that are like kind of horror, which is just not my genre. So I would never sit down and watch the whole movie, but I'm happy, I guess, to get the clips.
This isn't a rewatch, but TikTok got me to watch Chernobyl, which are a sentence that doesn't make any sense unless you are both a TikTok consumer and someone who's seen Chernobyl. But Chernobyl should not work as a TikTok clip.
It got this happened to me too.
Did, man.
I'd seen Chernobyl, and then I saw Chernobyl clips yesterday of the tunnel digging scene with our guy who plays the sergeant on the failed assault.
The naked miners are
the naked miner, yeah.
Good speech, very moving, sir.
Yeah, that guy. He's the miner. He's the chief miner. And same thing happened to me. I saw it in a bunch of clips. I was like, "Fuck it, I just need to rewatch all of Chernobyl because like I can't just."
And you did?
So. Yeah. I've seen it. I've watched it like 3 times. That's another sort of comfort watch.
I've never rewatched that one. I'd like to check it. I never saw that guy did the weird Netflix movie with Adam Sandler as an astronaut with a spider on board a spaceship or something. Some alien. I don't know what the deal is, but that guy, after he got fired off Dune Prophecy, he went and made some.
No, the guy who made Chernobyl made Last of Us.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's the showrunner. Sorry, the director.
Okay.
The director who did that. Okay, here's our last voicemail. Yeah.
K-Patch, hey, this is Corey calling from Austin, Texas, about Margin Call, which is a movie that came out in 2011 that I had zero recollection of. I didn't even know this thing existed. I went in pretty much totally blind, other than knowing Kevin Spacey was in it. I know we really don't want to open this can of worms, and I'm sure you guys have already gone through it all. what a fucking shame this guy was a fucking creep, because he is so fucking good.
Yeah.
He's such a great actor, but he sucks as a person.
Yeah, it happens.
Anyway, this movie is, like, I guess about the stock market, which I have zero understanding of. It involves a bunch of, like, alpha office males and tons of computers everywhere. There's computers and they got graphs
Lots
on
of
them,
screens.
and there's guys, and they use phones, and they call people, and they say shit to them, and they're like, yeah, asshole, all right, cocksucker, and then sell, buy, and all right, let's go to the bar and do some cocaine, and fuck you, yeah. Well, I don't get it. This is how America works?
Yeah.
This is how the whole world works?
Yeah.
What's fucking happening here? Anyway, the movie was great. I can't say I totally understood what they were doing, but I was not disappointed in the cast. I was not disappointed in all the performances. I love seeing Demi Moore. She was underused, but damn, God, I love Demi Moore. Anytime she pops up in something, I'm just like, man, she is so beautiful, and she can wear glasses like nobody else. Google her wearing glasses. She's got like decades worth of her in various glasses, and she's always just rocking those fucking frames. She looks great. So I could have used some more Demi Moore. Stanley Tucci, always great to see. He was used in a perfect amount. Same with Jeremy fucking Irons. When he showed up, I was like, holy shit! I love Jeremy Irons. All right, I'm really kind of rambling. It was great. I really had a great time watching it. It was
That's
fun.
good.
Who would Tilda Swinton play? I would say the Jeremy Irons part. I think she'd be really good in that. She's a real fucking hard ass. I would want her to play it as a female, though, and not as a male, as we like to always switch her up. But I'd like to see her as like a fucking tough-ass, stock lady, business lady, whatever. Anyway, that's it. Thanks, guys, for doing this one. This was a fun find. Okay, talk to you all next week.
I love it.
I love that. It's a good one from Corey. I love that he loved it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure he would, but he definitely got into it.
This is also in the the iPhone exists at this
Yeah.
time, but no one's using it, which is
No.
historically accurate. Which
Yeah,
is,
exactly.
It's not a business phone. These guys would all be on BlackBerries and
Yep.
Bluebirds.
Yep.
Interesting. Jason, how do you feel? We did it.
I'm glad we did it. It was great. We had a perfect guest, perfect episode. I hope people like it. I hope people will visit the movie. It's great. It's really good.
Awesome. Peter, plug, my friend.
Find me on the internet. I write things at Business Insider, and I make my own podcast at Channels with Peter Kafka.
Yes, excellent. But you're no longer a shareholder in Business Insider. You didn't hold on to that stake
That money has been exchanged and spent.
for other value. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Very good.
It bought diapers in the end, probably.
That's good.
No, it wouldn't have bought diapers in 2015 unless something had gone terribly wrong. It did not buy diapers.
It still assisted the launch of your future progeny, so congratulations on that. Jason, what do you have to plug?
I'm posted in the live chat right now. I'm plugging this cover of the song Soda Pop from K-Pop Demon Hunters, sung by Synthesized Cats. That Spotify served up to me and Juniper on the drive-in, and hopefully folks are hearing now this morning. And she was fucking thrilled to hear K-Pop Demon Hunters song sung by Synthetic Cats. So I hope our audience...
Are you guys going to be K-pop characters for Halloween, Jason?
I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but I will say I have a K-Pop Demon Hunters outfit for Halloween.
I asked
You
because
do?
they're apparently very hard to come by.
I mean,
They're sold out, and Netflix
you've
hasn't
not
made enough.
met my wife, who takes Halloween very seriously. I have 4 different costumes for Halloween. Only one of which is K-pop themed.
What are the others?
Well, our family theme is winged creatures.
Okay.
And so I have 2 different dragon variants and a bald eagle outfit.
You're not going to give us AI slop?
No, I'm not going.
I could definitely see you as a bald eagle.
Yeah, that's a good one. The kids are excited about that one. They're all good. All of the outfits are good. Crystal gets some from China, some from Etsy. So it's great. We have multiple different Halloween functions to go to. So I have a lot of opportunities
mix
for
it
outfit
up.
changes. Yeah. Yeah.
I already posted one picture from the fun run that I organized. That was a running event that had costumes. I am going as Bob Ferguson from one battle after another.
Oh, that's good.
So,
That's good.
Yeah, I put that together, so it's going to be good. We're going to make it happen. Peter, what are you going to do?
I'm going to a grown-up party that is country or country club theme.
Oh, I like
And
that.
Someone smart suggested that I got myself a Caddyshack T-shirt.
That's great. That's great.
Perfect.
That's good.
The minimum possible.
Bare
Sometimes we
minimum.
get the job
Yep.
done. Yes. All right, let me hit stop.